Yes,
Sir,
yes,
little more, if you can increase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So
No.
last 2 weeks, last two sessions, we studied chapter 10, and today and on Saturday we will go through some ideas on chapter 11. So let me share. You are able to see?
Yes, yes, Pragya.
So normally what I will do during this first session of chapter 11, we refresh the objectives of this course, and we also touch upon the original 7 slokas and the 3 added ones. We will just go through them, and then we go into about 6 ideas on the first half of chapter 11. So again, this chapter is called Vishwarupa Darshan Yoga. Again, the term yoga appears here. 2 sessions ago, we talked about why almost all the chapters have this yoga attached to it, which is for the purpose of understanding it with our hearts and minds, just not intellectually, academically, or technically, but to be able to grasp the essence of Bhagavad Gita through our hearts, internalize it, and then we interiorize it. So the term yoga is to become one with, is used in almost all the chapters. So in this chapter, we are going to study Vishwarupa Darshan. But prior to that, we will refresh the objectives of this course and also the 7 plus 3 original slokas. So the objectives are efficacy of Bhagavad Gita in the light of heartfulness. We want to understand Bhagavad Gita in the light of heartfulness and what values there are in Bhagavad Gita that is common to today's character building and wisdom in action. It is also for self-study. Self-study is very essential for continuous improvement. So our masters say that we should read our own masters' books, constantly. And so Swadhyaya can be done individually or in a group. And we want to apply what we learn in our day-to-day life. So that is the actionable knowledge. And of course, what we do today determines our destiny in the future. So using Bhagavad Gita and the learning here in the light of heartfulness, we can expedite and design our destiny. That is the purpose and meaning. So those are the course objectives. And I don't know if anybody else goes through this, but I like to go through the 7 slokas plus the 3. But I'll just read them through. There is no Sanskrit slokas attached to them. So I'll just read them. So the first one is in chapter 2, verse 55, under Sankhya Yoga. O Parth, one who, having renounced all desires born of the mind, one who is content in the self and by the self, is said to be one whose inside is steady, Sthita pragya. So here the highlights are the desires born of the mind, desires of the body versus desire of the mind, and of course the desire of the soul. That is different. second one, chapter 2, verse 62, again Sankhya Yoga. While contemplating the pleasures of the senses, one is attracted to them. From attraction arises desire, and from desire arises anger. So the important aspect of this particular sloka is the contemplation of the pleasure of the senses. So all of us will have temporary attraction, but when we start contemplating, we have a problem. It's Babaji's example of, if you look at a rose, it's okay for you to get attracted to it. But if you start dwelling on it, writing poetry, then you are stuck with it. The third one, which is chapter 2, verse 63. So the previous one, from attraction arises desire, from desire arises anger, from anger leads to confusion or delusion of the mind, which results in loss of memory. When memory is lost, the intellect is lost, destroyed. And the ruin of the intellect leads man to destruction. Again, these are English translations, but you get the meaning, right? The discriminating faculty, when it is lost, we make bad decisions, bad choices. And with that, our future is destroyed. Number 4, but one who controls the mind and is free from likes and dislikes, even while using the objects of the senses, attains the grace of God. So all these things are pretty relevant to us, and we understand the likes and dislikes. That's where we start in our sadhana, and we also don't shun material life. We use it for the purpose of doubling down on our sadhana. So the one who controls the mind is free from likes and dislikes. Even while using the objects of the senses, attains the grace of God. Again, I just remembered what Daji said. Everywhere, everybody says what is good, what is bad, what needs to be cultivated, but nobody says how. So only in heartfulness, through Raja Yoga, where we incorporate Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga, and finally embrace Bhakti Yoga, we are able to expedite our journey. So controlling the mind is not that easy. We know that, right? And also using the objects of the senses is okay, so long as we are free from likes and dislikes. We will attain the grace of God. Number 5, there is no wisdom for a man without harmony. And without harmony, there is no contemplation. Without contemplation, there cannot be peace. How can there be happiness for one lacking peace of mind? We have listened to Daji speak about this many, many times. Number 6, better is one's own duty, though devoid of merit, than the duty of another well discharged. Better is death in one's own duty. The duty of another is fraught with fear. This is very critical, This is to me a very fundamental advice of what career to choose, what we want to do in our lives. No comparison with others. So in short, Babaji would have said, mind your own business. So this is also very critical for our leading our lives in a manner that is natural to us. Number 7, not by refraining from action does man secure freedom from action, nor does he secure ultimate perfection by mere renunciation that he may secure. So these are all clarification given to us in terms of what karma really is and what renunciation really means. I think in our heartfulness there is enough clarity on this idea. I think in either role of the master or fruit of the tree, Chariji has talked about this aspect, not doing, not doing. There are several parts to it. And so this is a very critical sloka. Not by refraining from action does man secure freedom from action, nor does he secure ultimate perfection by mere renunciation that he may secure. All right. So those are the 7 gems. Later on, towards the end of the first day, Lord reveals 3 more personal secrets to Arjuna. This is pretty critical with respect to spiritual practice. The first one is whenever there is decline in righteousness and an increase in sinfulness, at that time I manifest myself on earth. This is, all of us understand it. To protect the righteous, to annihilate the wicked, and to re-establish the principles of dharma, I appear on this earth age after age. These 2 we know, we have probably constantly talked about this. But the last one, which is very important, which is in the final chapter of chapter 18, abandon all varieties of dharma and simply surrender unto me alone. I shall liberate you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So abandon all varieties of dharma and simply surrender unto me alone. I shall liberate you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Okay. So I need a volunteer. So we are going to go through about 6 slokas for the first session of chapter 11. Yes, Padmanabhan.
Namaste.
Namaste.
न तु मां शक्यसे द्रष्टुम् अनेनैव स्वचक्षुषा दिव्यं ददामि ते चक्षुः पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम्.
Thank you. So Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, you will not be able to see me with your own eyes. I give to you inner sight. Behold my divine manifestations. So we will come back to the highlighted words later. We will just finish the first 6 slokas. Yes, Bhagyashri.
Sanjaya uvacha evamuktva tato rajan mahayogeshwaro harihi darshayamasa parthaya param rupamaishwaram.
So Sanjay spoke, O king, having spoken thus, the great Lord of Yoga, Hari or Krishna, revealed to Arjuna his supreme universal form. So first is the inner sight. Then he says, behold divine manifestation. And then he reveals himself in supreme universal form. Yes, Murari.
Yes. अनादिमध्यात्म अनंत वीर्यम अनंत बाहुं शशिसूर्यनेत्रं पश्यामि त्वं पश्यामि तं दीप्तहुताशवक्त्रं सतेजसा विश्वमिदं तपन्तम्.
So once he unraveled himself in the universal form with infinite power, without beginning, middle, or end, with innumerable arms, the moon and sun being your eyes, I see you with blazing fire from your mouth, burning all this universe with your divine radiance. So this is Arjuna's talking. Yeah, Jawaharlal.
आख्याहि मे को भवानुग्रहरूप नमोऽस्तु ते देववर प्रसीद विज्ञातुमिच्छामि भवन्तमाद्यं नाहि प्रजानामि तव प्रकृतं प्रवृत्तम्.
Thank you. So Arjuna gets scared and then he is asking, tell me who you are of such a fierce form. Salutations to you, O highest divinity, have mercy. I wish to know you, the primal one. He thought he knew him already, he was his friend. But here he says, I have never seen you like this, in such a fierce form. And yet he calls him as highest divinity, and then he begs him to have mercy. And then he says, I wish to know you, the primal one. Indeed, I do not comprehend what are your intentions. So now I think he's beginning to kind of thaw, and then he's asking him, what are your intentions? Nagarajan.
Hello. Morning, sir.
Nagarajan, go ahead.
Yeah. You are able to hear me, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shri Bhagavan कालोऽस्मि लोकक्षयकृत् प्रवृद्धो लोकान् हर्तुमिह प्रवृत्तः हृदेऽपि त्वां न भविष्यन्ति सर्वे एव स्थिता प्रत्यनीकेषु योधाः.
Okay. So Krishna spoke when Arjuna asked him, what are your intentions? Then he says, I am time, the mighty cause of world destruction, engaged in the world in annihilating the creations. Even without you, all these warriors who are arrayed in the opposite side will cease to exist. So Krishna explains to Arjuna, I am time, the mighty cause of world destruction, engaged in the world in annihilating the creations. Even without you, all these warriors who are arrayed in the opposite side will cease to exist. I need one more person for this. Yes, Srikant. Srikant? Can't hear you.
तस्मात् त्वमुत्तिष्ठ यशो लभ्यस्व जित्वा शत्रून् वैक्ष्व राज्यं समृद्धं मयैव ते निहताः. पूर्वमेव निमित्तमात्रं भव सख्या साचिन्.
Okay. So therefore, you arise and win glory. So once Arjuna asked Krishna, "What are your intentions?" He goes on to say that I am time. I have come here to destroy, and these people that are on the other side would be dead anyway. And so arise and win glory. Having conquered the enemies, enjoy prosperous kingdom. These have already been slain by me, by the mere instrument of the divine Arjuna. Be the mere instrument. So I think that's about it for this section. So I want to kind of go back to first ask a question. Does anybody have any questions or want to discuss the first seven, the original slokas? If not, we can go in, into the first one here. Okay. Yes.
So, brother, on that Swadharma, so some clarification on is it a personal dharma or is it a professional dharma? Is it what my heart says? Is it what my parents and lineage have been doing? Ancestors have been doing? So there, some clarity would help.
Yeah, that's a tough one, but we can discuss. So what is Swadharma? I mean, anything that helps you achieve the spiritual goal, to me, is Swadharma, right? That type of work that I can do to sustain myself, that is natural to me, that doesn't take me away from the path of spirituality. If I follow that, that is Swadharma. In the case of Arjuna, he was a Kshatriya. He also was a prince. And he had the obligation to protect the kingdom, fight the evil. It doesn't matter if the opposing party is his own cousin. And so the Swadharma for Arjuna was to fulfill his, duty of a Kshatriya. But for Arjuna, it is well known, right? But for us, we are confused. We don't know what we want to do in life. But I think in some fashion, if we are not ambitious but aspirational, if we use the mundane for the sake of spirituality, if we don't get too distracted by the day-to-day living, I think we will find a way. But Swadharma makes you comfortable. You are in your own skin. So the other sloka where he says that it is better to do one's own duty even if it is useless than to do someone else's duty. So all these things come together. So if there is a lot of struggle in our mind as to what we want to do, that could be a problem. So those are the thoughts that come to me, but I'm not sure if that's a good answer or not. But Swadharma is something for us to figure out. These days, if you look at where we are born in a place and a situation, right? And sometimes we can wriggle out of that situation because we are like a like a fish that is trying to get back to water, right? We are struggling to get back to our natural space. But in my mind, Swadharma is something that keeps you on track towards the spiritual goal. and slowly less time is spent for material purpose, and so more time is available for spiritual sadhana. Anybody else? Okay. So the first one we want to discuss is, I'll put this up. Okay. So the first one is Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that you won't be able to see me with your normal eyes. And Krishna has to give him divine sight, inner sight. It is a gift. It is grace. And then he says, behold my divine manifestations. And so he is telling him to hold on to divine manifestations, whatever that may mean. But in order to see the divinity, we need to go inward. We cannot see divinity externally. So that's what it is. Anybody wants to share anything on this? Any questions? Yes, Kritika.
Namaste, brother.
Namaste.
I just remember Babuji's, he used to say that when Abhyasis come to see me, they actually have to see me as, as who I am. But they come with already expectation, with already assumption, and without any expectation, from their inner heart, from their eyes, from their heart, if they want to see me and they get what they get, whatever they are ready to receive, they'll receive. But they are not coming to see me as I want, as they should. So I feel that's the feeling I could get when say divinity from inside. If you want, when you want to, yeah.
Thank you. Bhageshri?
So, what occurred to me with that divine eyes is recently in the Heartful Communication, I had this discussion where somebody is angry with me. When we receive anger, generally we react normally. But in Heartful Communication, I learned that we need to first connect internally and then receive the anger, try to understand the feeling or guess into the feeling of the other person. And then the other person also gets, there is a connection established. And the way the conversation goes is of a different order. So that's probably my understanding of divine vision or divine way of looking at other person or a situation.
Thank you, sister. Murari?
Yes, brother. What from this sloka, it came to my mind that if we have all the impurities or obstacles around, then we can't see the divinity. So we need to remove those with the help of God's grace, or we need to mainly remove all the obstacles and impurities to see the divine look. So that idea came to my mind from this.
Good. So as you clear the glass from inside the lantern, the light is brighter. So you can see better from inside your own house. Sister Nisha.
Namaste, brother. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.
Brother, I will just, first sister shared about Babuji. Where Babuji said, everybody comes to meet me. They come to see me, but they don't see me. Because everybody tried to see, and same we do with our master, our beloved master. We try to see with the physical eyes, and we get lost in the formalities we do with the master, touching feet or whatever. And Daji wrote a very beautiful message on Drishta, I think on his birthday celebration, that who is a true Drishta, who is a seer. So for that, we have to raise our vibrational frequency, I think, to match Master's frequency, to have his true darshan in the heart. Because the Master cannot appear in our heart, which is a true darshan, unless, we have that kind of, I don't know, I use the word vibration a lot, the tuning into his fields. And as you just said, for that, we need to have that purified state of heart and mind. And Daji also explained it needs a surrender, a state of surrender. When a true drishta happens, that magic happens, where we come in commune with the Master and he appears in our heart. So that was my understanding, little bit of the divine side, brother. But I have a question here, brother. On the divine side, I know there is a chapter on divine side Babuji wrote also in volume 2, that here Lord Krishna says it's a gift. I give it to you. While I understood that in our path, it's something we earn by our purification and surrender. So could you please clarify on that?
So in spiritual, in my view is that the only right we have is the right to practice, right? We have the right to practice as sincerely, as diligently as possible. And we are given the spiritual gifts when we reach a state of deservingness. But how do we know? I mean, how do we know we are at a state of deservingness? Right? There are people who appear to have much better caliber and they are not graced by the masters, right? And so we have the right to the effort, but not to the result. We may work for result, but what right do we have to expect a certain result, right? And so in that context, when we are given those spiritual experiences, those spiritual conditions, those spiritual states, it is truly something that occurs, that comes from him. He may not say no to any one of us, but for us to think that we have deserved a gift is kind of taking us towards arrogance, and that is antithetical to spirituality. So while we do not, I mean, this is sentimental or the attitudinal, because we must put in our effort. Without effort, nothing. Just because we put in our effort, we are not entitled for anything. And 3, because masters are so benevolent and kind and merciful and eager to give, they give, right? Even if we don't deserve. But the right attitude is one of undeservingness, right? Because even logically speaking, spirituality is of such an order and such a dimension. How can any one of us say that I deserve this state? We cannot. And so here I think, of course, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna instantaneously, I give you the inner sight so that you can behold my divine manifestations and you can be able to see me as I'm going to show you my universal form. But in our system, it's all very subtle. It's extremely subtle, right? What is the universal form that we experience? The universal form that we experience is in the form of love. It is not in the form of fearful, destructive exposition of his power. And also, our system is based on Dayalu Shakti, right? Not Kal Shakti. Only recently, I think Kal Shakti is activated, but that is different reason. But I don't know how many of you are preceptors. In the book, Advanced Material for Preceptors, the red book, there is a diagram of Kal Shakti, right? All the 21 points on the spine, that is called Kal Chakra. But we proceed from the front, right? Our heart region and going up, we proceed from the front, that is the Dayal Shakti. So even the gifts that we are getting from our masters, they are very gradual, very subtle, very progressive. And finally, one day, if we are free of all of our dualities, and if we are able to see divinity in everybody, we feel love for everybody and everything, that to me is our perception of the universal form of divine. And for that, we are very grateful to our master, because only through the association with our master that we are able to get that condition, get that state of being, get that experience. So the universal form that we feel, we don't see, we feel through the inner self, is the unconditional universal love. So Nisha, I don't know if I answered your question, but
that was beautiful, brother. Brother, I never intended to say it's a right. I fully understand everything on this path is His mercy, His benevolence. I never intended that at all. Actually, I said that only after we have surrendered. Because a lot of brothers and sisters often this question that they don't see the master in heart. This question comes often in discussions when we contemplate in groups. And then some do see master in the heart. So I think Daji explained many times about the surrender, the samarpan, and that chakra 9 and that eternal connection with the master. And so much, whatever my little understanding is, of course, the darshan can happen long before that also. If the heart is so, I think, so samarpit to the divine. So, but what you have clarified is very beautiful, brother. It is a true change in our character, which by the mercy of the master, we all, get to, I think, see in ourselves. Thank you.
welcome. So we'll move on to the next one, right? So the next one is, let me see. I want to share this with you. Are you able to see? I don't have to go back and forth, right?
Yes, yes, but not a full screen.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's visible.
So now, the great Lord of Yoga, Krishna, revealed to Arjuna a supreme universal form. So instantaneously, if we are exposed to the totality of divinity, we won't be able to withstand. So Lord Krishna prepares Arjuna, gives him inner sight, and then reveals his supreme universal form. And this is phenomenal, right? Supreme universal form. You can think of everything that is, in the creation, right? Darkness. From darkness came the creation, the first mind, the birth of fear, chaos, so many things, right? And then the cycle of destruction. So This is a pretty dramatic expression, and I don't think we will have words to explain this particular scene, and accept how it is being explained, right? So with infinite power, without beginning, middle, or end, with innumerable arms, the moon and sun being your eyes, I see you with the blazing fire from your mouth, burning all this universe with your divine radiance. There are some words that are kind of interesting here. When you think of divinity, none of us would think it is fearful, right? But in this scenario, with innumerable arms, blazing fire from the mouth, burning the universe, to call that a divine radiance itself is a pretty interesting expression, right? But nevertheless, it has induced fear in Arjuna. So we have to be prepared to see the divinity in the positive, in the loving sense. So anybody wants to say anything on this sloka? We have talked about without the beginning, middle, and end many times in the past couple of sessions. But in this scenario, it is like a bursting out of energy with forms, right? It is both the form, the energy, and the form, right? And the transformation of that form. If you can imagine this, right? In a very short period of time, if you are shown the entire creation, sustenance and destruction in a very rapid form, it is difficult to find love in this scene, right? Anybody? I'll move on. So naturally, Arjuna asks him, "Who are you?" Such a fierce form. But he also has the memory of Lord Krishna, as a friend, as a Sakha, as a Sarathi, right? Now he gets a glimpse of his divinity. He had it before too, but in a different manner. But with respectful attitude, he's asking Krishna to have mercy. I wish to know you, the primal one. But how does he know him? I mean, he thought he knew him, but now he saw some other facet of Lord Krishna. He still wants to know more about him, but he wants to know him through his intentions. I do not comprehend what your intentions are. So how do we know a person? How do we know who we are? We can say we are what we do, right? We are what we think, we are what we do, and we are what our intentions are. So what is this primal one? So Arjuna is definitely recognizing the fierce form. So he is asking Lord Krishna again, who are you? Have mercy. The primal one. Vishnu is one idea of the primal one. I do not comprehend what your intentions are. The source from where everything came from, where everything returns to, the primal one. So I'll go to the next one. So this is, I think I will put it up. So this is critical. I think we can have some discussion here, right? See, Krishna spoke, I am time. This is pretty popular sloka. The mighty cause of world destruction, engage in the world in annihilating the creations. Even without you, all these warriors who are arrayed in the opposing side will cease to exist. So these are all contextual. In one place he says the soul has no beginning, no end. Here he says these warriors who have taken this manifest existence, they will cease to exist because the manifest existence is temporary. It passes us by. And in that we take the swadharma, or we do, what we are supposed to do, not be worried about others. And so Arjuna has to do what he's supposed to do, not worrying about the results of his action, which is death of the opposing side. And he says they would be dead anyway, right? But in all this, what is Krishna? Is time. What happens with time? Time starts at the beginning and ends at the end, right? It is one way of saying that time is a measurement between the beginning and the end. So Babaji also talks about time being power, right? When the power is released, time begins. And when the energy is released, the time begins. But what happens to the power? What happens to the energy? They manifest and transform, right? They cannot be destroyed. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. The sum of energy is the same, right? They only transform. So when Krishna says he is time, so there is some process that is happening. Time is related to process. So what is that process? Everything is born to die. So if everything is born to die, but what is the purpose? Of course, in our system, Daji has given us the clarity that it is to improve the potency of the soul. So time after time, the creations come into existence. They manifest, they get destroyed, or they come to an end. The destruction is an automatic process. But it is very hard to say the length of time is predetermined. I don't think in any creation the length of time is predetermined, not with the understanding we have with thoughtfulness. So anybody? I am time. What does it mean? Yes, Ravindra.
The witnessing of the consciousness about whatever is visible. Like, brother, one thing I want to understand so that I can come and illustrate on it. When Daji says that the purpose is to increase the potency of the soul, and in the Heartfulness Way, he says that consciousness is almost inseparable from the soul. So, what is that potency he's talking about? It means the consciousness?
Yes. Evolution of consciousness.
And then he says that consciousness is almost inseparable from the soul.
Right.
So, how do we account for the potency when it is inseparable from the soul?
Good question. But we, I think, conveniently say potency of the soul, but it is the combination of the soul along with the evolved status of the consciousness will re-manifest the soul back into the next creation with that heightened, evolved, consciousness. See, I don't know how to say this. Inside the seed is life of a tree, right? But if the seed is not of high potency, the tree that gets manifested may be of some height and some fruit. But if the seed is of good quality, the tree that comes out will be big and the fruit will be sweet. That's as an example. So inside the seed is the tree. Inside the consciousness is the soul. So the first wrap around the soul is the consciousness. And of course, from there, the circumference, the manifest existence comes into being as far as we as a person is concerned. So through sadhana, when our consciousness continues to evolve, get purified, get simplified, and when, especially in our system, when we meditate saying, "Oh Master, thou art the real goal of human life." So as Master keeps swimming, we are following him. If Babuji says that the first saint is still swimming in the central region, and Babuji was the first one to peep into the central region, then if we say, "Oh Master, thou art the real goal of human life," and this chain of our masters continue, and we get the grace through that dharana, then it impacts our consciousness. And that is the potency. So one way to say this, brother, is to say that the soul is capable of manifesting itself into infinite possibility.
So you mean to say that when the culmination of potency is arrived, the mutability is done at that point?
I don't know whether compound mutability they are compatible. I don't know. The reason why Babu, I think Daji especially highlighted this point as soul as a compound. Because it could split, right? We have entities, the spiritual entity, right? So when a compound is split, they maintain the characteristics. And so when there are entities, and that is why I think Daji went back to that and kind of explored that concept of soul being a compound. That means it could split. But I have to say that many of the scriptural statements, and especially the commentaries on scriptural statements that have been there for 10,000 years may even be challenged, right? So if soul is immutable, is that compatible with the potency of the soul being a variable? I don't know. Possibly. So the simple example that comes to my mind is the seed contains the tree within it.
Yeah, got
And
it, brother.
if you have 2 or 3 seeds of the same tree and you put it, those trees grow differently, right? You try to maximize the manifested tree by providing the same environment and same care. But if you take 3 seeds, one in Siberia, one in Mediterranean, and one in Rajasthan, I am sure these trees will grow differently, right? That could be, we can assign it to the environment. Or if you keep the same environment, and if the trees are different when they grow, what do we attribute that difference to, right? That is the consciousness around the soul. The potency, we can say it is infinite or highest potency. But the available consciousness around the soul limits the manifested tree. But you were mentioning I am time as consciousness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is manifestation. So we got more people. Let me see. Prabhu.
Yes, brother. Namaste.
Namaste.
Brother, with respect to this, somewhere I have read the Babuji's literature where he quotes Akasha, Avkasha. So in
Yes,
Akasha, we are having a Avkasha. So I think that will be more when Lord Krishna is telling that I am time, means he is the Avkasha. He has manifested this Avkasha to all of us, or to the whole universe, something like that.
Thank you. Thank you. Rashi? Thank you. Thank you. Venkateswaran?
Hello, good morning. We are discussing about this particular sloka on 32. There, regarding the time we are talking, but what or maybe the way in which Lord Krishna has told Rajamar Vyasi, this sloka means I am time means time is always there. We are also living in time only, every moment. So we can interpret that Lord is always with us. The time moves, Lord is always with us for every time, every activity which you are doing is limited to time. And we can take it as our Lord is always with me because he is time. Second thing, he has come to annihilate all beings. When he says he can annihilate all beings, he can also create. That equal capacity he has got. So here annihilate beings there in the war, unwanted elements, that is people who are not doing properly have to be eliminated. And for Sajamar Abhyasi, unwanted elements are all our negative qualities. So the negative qualities also he will definitely remove. We can interpret and take our master as our helper to destroy, annihilate all the unwanted things. So this is even without you, he can destroy means. If even without you means when we have totally surrendered to master, when our ego is completely erased, he can easily remove, annihilate all the unwanted things. So that is why this sloga can be interpreted for a Sahajmar Abhyasi as Lord is with us always because he is time. He is watching us every moment, every activity, whatever he is watching. And we will be careful not add to our own bad things by gradually reducing and with a firm conviction that Lord is always with me to help remove all the unwanted impurities and complexities and make us as he wants to come. This is as a Sajma Ravyasi we can interpret using the word time. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Anusia?
Yeah, the one thing is when he talks of potentiality, it is not the potency. He talks of the potentiality of the soul, the potentiality which was the cause for the which created consciousness. So, and that in one of the recent talks, Daji said that that potentiality is the ultimate God. So we are realizing that because Babuji said people think that consciousness is the highest, but it is not so. The potentiality that created the consciousness. And then regarding this, the recent talk on time, Babuji clearly says that it is the brief pause between cause and effect. And that is the time between cause and effect. And then he also goes on to say that I think he said that thought and action, whatever existed between thought and action. And also this Akasha and Avakasha, this Avakasha is not there in Mahapralaya, only Akasha stays, everything merges. And only Akasha stays, which is the identity. Akasha is the identity, and that alone stays even after Mahapralaya. And also regarding the power, the power, he talks that power can be brought down, and that that was used for creation. So these are the things which we can go back to Babuji's, complete works, volume 1, and then we can have a better picture of what actually time is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we got another 2 more minutes. So the last of the idea for this session is Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, arise and win glory. So do your duty. Everything is already done. And just be a mere instrument. So that is the lesson for all of us, right? Just be a divine instrument, do your duty. And so with that, we will conclude. But there was one question from a brother who wanted to briefly talk about the 7th of the original slokas, which is, I'll put this up here, just a briefly. So the 7th one says, not by refraining from action does man secure freedom from action. That means that inaction is not freedom. So inaction is the worst thing. Even Daji has talked about it. Many people feel guilty of things that they should have done. They didn't do more than the things that they did, right? So inaction is not in our domain, right? Not by refraining from action does man secure freedom from action. Similarly, just by renunciation, running away, we will secure perfection. No. Detachment. Like our master says, attachment and detachment and detachment and attachment. So some of those words that Babuji has spoken gives us a better perspective of this term renunciation. Renunciation is transcending. Renunciation is not as much detachment. So to do our duty, we must put our heart and mind into it, right? You cannot say that I'm detached about it. You are detached to the results, but you are pretty much paying attention to your work, to your duty, to your dharma. So this sloka clarifies some of those misunderstandings that might have arisen, that might have come about. So karma is proper action. Karma is not bad, so we cannot go to inaction. Similarly, renunciation alone is not going to give us perfection if you don't understand what renunciation is. So does that make sense to you, brother? Jay Kumar.
Thank you, brother. But thank you for answering that. But additional gems, what you put it, that is chapter 18, 16 verse, abandon all varieties of dharma and simply surrender into me. So we have a dharma, whereas this little contradictory, I mean, my understanding. So how to link this and that? That's where I had a doubt.
Oh, I see. I don't see there is any. We will come to it next week.
Fine.
I mean, on Friday.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank you. I will also interlace.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Namaste.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Wish you a very happy New Year.
Thank you.
Wish you all
Bye.
Happy New Year to all. Happy New Year to all.
Thank you.
New Year to everyone, all brothers and sisters. Happy New Year, Brother Victor ji.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you all. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to all.